Your guide to NASA's budget. How big is NASA's budget right now? What was it like in the past? How does it compare to the rest of government spending? These answers, as well as more. For 2025, $25.4 billion proposed. NASA's budget is set by an annual process that begins with a proposal from the White House and ends with legislation passed by Congress and signed by the President. The budget specifies funding amounts for programs and projects in human spaceflight, space science, aeronautics, technology development, and education. NASA's budget peaked during the Apollo program in the 1960s. After the United States won the race to the moon, space exploration lost political support, and NASA's budget was cut significantly. Since the 1970s, NASA has hovered between 1% and 0.4% of all US government spending. NASA's financial year 2025 budget. The White House proposed $25.4 billion for NASA in 2025, a modest increase from the previous year and far less than originally planned. NASA budget breakdown. NASA is internally divided into major program areas, each of which receives funding to manage its own projects. Funding varies year to year, but generally about 50% of NASA's annual budget is spent on human spaceflight activities. 30% on robotic missions and scientific research, with the remainder split between aeronautics, technology development programs, staff salaries, facilities management, and other overhead. None of NASA's budget is used for national defense or intelligence gathering programs. It is a civilian agency responsible for the peaceful exploration of space. National security space programs are the responsibility of a handful of other agencies, most notably the Space Force and the National Reconnaissance Office. How NASA's budget is made. The White House provides a detailed budget proposal to Congress every February, which kicks off an annual process known as appropriations. The proposal that begins this process is called the President's Budget Request, or PBR, which itself is the outcome of year-long negotiations, first within NASA, and then between NASA and the White House's Budget Office. The President's Budget Request includes a justification and explanation for all of the space agency's activities. It can also contain proposals to cancel projects or to begin new ones. The priorities reflected in the budget request reflect that of the President, and the document can just as easily be read as a political statement by the executive branch. The President's budget request does not carry the force of law and does not direct funding, though it does set the terms of the debate for funding legislation that is subsequently written by Congress. NASA's budget. The President's budget request kicks off the yearly budget season in the United States. It takes a year to put together, and Congress plays no part. Why is that? If you know, let us know.